Welcome to video 3, which is about email 3, and that is invite 3 in Jenna Kutcher's webinar invite sequence. So here we go. Email 3, subject line. The reason you need to start an email list now, not someday. Here we are addressing a common objection and adding urgency to it. So a lot of people are going to say, oh, I don't need an email list yet. Oh, I'll get to it. Oh, I already have too much to do. Well, once, don't put it off. You need it now, not someday. At the top of the email, if you're paying attention, this is email number 3. So email 1 had a countdown timer. Email 2 did not have a countdown timer. Email 3 has the countdown timer at the top again for urgency. It says 000 here because that's what I took the screenshot after the training was done, but there are plenty of tools that you can use that will have this run counting down until the training. So that's at the top of the email. Then we have, I remember like it was yesterday, Hannah. So we're setting up a story. Again, Hannah, that's my name. So this would be a merge tag or a personalized field in your email marketing platform. Always good to include that for personalization, right? So we're setting up a story and we're creating curiosity when she says, I remember like it was yesterday. Then we go into this quote, what's the size of your email list? He asked a little too bluntly for my comfort. I would have given anything to direct my potential new business mentor's attention to my Instagram, but instead I replied meekly, I don't have one. So here we're dropped right into the action of the story. We're not getting this whole, well, I really was in this point in my business where I needed blah, blah, we're getting right into the crux of the story, right? What's the size of your email list? He asked a little too bluntly for my comfort. So we're calling out the ideal comfort, like she felt really exposed, right, when this happened. And like a lot of us, if we were asked, what's the size, or the reader, right, was asked this question, that would resonate with them, right? They would have either asked themselves that or have been asked that, right? So you want to go with something really relatable and really directly tied, obviously, to your topic or the event or whatever it is that you're going to be asking them to do in the email. So then she says, I don't have one, right? And then we get to, well, if your answer sounds like mine, right? Again, calling out the person that she's talking to specifically, right? We're not talking to somebody who has a team that's running their email list for them, right? We're talking probably to someone who's 1, 2, maybe 3 people, and email has not been a priority for them. That's the person she's trying to call out here, and she's doing that with this story. So again, you want to think about who's the ideal person you're talking to, who's the ideal person to come to this event, and how can you make them feel seen, feel heard, and get their attention. So down here to our first CTA, right? If your answer sounds like mine, I'm teaching a 1-hour completely free workshop, from 0 subscribers, or 0 strategy to engage email lists that last. Again, she can throw this title in again and again because it speaks to exactly who she is targeting, which is people with either 0 subscribers or 0 strategy. So people who have either not started or who are in the beginner phase, and what they're going to get, right? An engaged email list that lasts. That's what everyone wants, right? Engagement that lasts for the long term. Grab a seat in class with just 1 click at the time that works best for you. No extra steps or forms to fill out. This is brilliant. This will always convert better. It's 1 click. You're not going to lose anybody because, oh, well, now I have to fill out this form and I have to put in my name and my email address, and that's annoying. This is super simple. 3 choices, the date and the time are on each one with a time zone, which is great. Even though it's not being automatically converted, that's fine. Just put any time zone so people can figure it out, right? Here are your CTAs. That's the day. Nope. The very moment my business changed forever. So we're getting back into the story again, right? He spent the rest of our meeting laying out his argument for why email is a more reliable and all-around better way to build a business than social media alone. And here we have a list of why it's more reliable and better, right, than social media alone, which is probably the bulk of, that's where most people start, right? Less time invested, guaranteed eyes on your content, less room for distractions. So again, we're including benefits of email marketing. We're just putting it in a different way, right? So instead of listing them out as bullet points of what you get from my webinar, here we're talking about the same stuff in the context of the story. So here he probably, if the story is real, right, laid these things out. Guaranteed eyes on your content, less room for distractions. These are all the reasons why, if you're not already convinced, right? People who actually care about what you're talking about. Working links, ouch, that's a good one. I probably would have put that at the top, but he wasn't anti-social media, but he flat out told me he couldn't see why someone who is creating so much content wouldn't ensure it actually got seen and seize the opportunity to turn it into paying customers. So again, calling out the pain point again, mentioning how this topic and the what they're going to discuss in the webinar is going to solve the pain point. And again, this is something that a lot of people are already doing, social media, right? It's something they're already doing and they're not getting the results that they want. Moving on. Okay, so I guess the small talk's over, I thought. I went home, opened my laptop, navigated to the first link on Google when I typed in how to start an email list. I slowly pieced together a plan through lots of squinting and confusion frowns, right? So struggling to figure out the plan, right? Pretty sure my first email went to my mom and my own personal inbox, not even Drew. I think that's her husband. But from then on, every time my list doubled in size, my profit followed suit. So here she's adding relatability. She used to be in your place, right? If you can make them see, I used to be in your position and I got out of it, right? This is not relevant for everyone, right? If you're a coach or something, you might show how I was in this position and I got out of it, but you might also say, you might be telling a story about a client, right? A success story, a case study in a way, right? And this is the situation they were in, that people will see, oh yeah, I can relate to that too. And then we're getting them to the other side, right? So she's saying every time my list doubled in size, my profit followed suit. It was nuts. I kept double checking the numbers to make sure I wasn't imagining it. So she's sharing her personal results. So you would share your personal results or the results for your client, whatever, right? This is something that people want. It should be real. Don't make it up, right? That's why I couldn't be more pumped to protect you from the confusion of my first go around with the email marketing strategy. So here she's saying, look, if you do it by yourself, it's hard. If you do it with me, it's easier, right? Do it with me and it's easier. That's what you always want people to come back to. Yes, you could do this on your own, but with my help, it's easier. Skip the trial and error, right? Skip the testing, skip all that stuff and grab your spot here. Excuse me. Adding a final CTA, right? Always have that CTA at the end. So if someone does make it to the end, they don't have to go look, right? If they're convinced, there's a place for them to click right then and right there. So then at the end of this email, she adds a PS, which she hasn't done before. And so here we have life lessons. Sometimes the advice that challenges you is the best advice you can get. So we're adding a little more story here, potentially kind of pacifying anyone who would be put off by like her story, right? Who might be upset. For the record, this dude said his whole spiel without once making me feel guilt or shame. So if you were reading that and being like, what an ass, right? If that's what you thought, she's kind of addressing that here. And also at the same time, mentioning some more benefits and adding another CTA. So, turns out ROI on my time invested in email was through the roof. And his advice saved me so much time and made me so much money, right? That's my goal for you too. So pretty much like I took advice from someone else. It worked out really well for me. I'm going to show you how to I'm going to give you advice essentially and make it work for you, right? So that's what we're doing in the PS section. I don't think this is necessary at all. But if you had something to add like that, you absolutely could. Okay. So that's email 3. This is where you can start writing your copy, right? Just go up here to file, make a copy, and then you'll have, the access, then it'll be your own, so you can make edits. All right, so good luck. Thanks.